Hello everyone and welcome back to where today we're talking about Last Wish weapons. Last Wish has had its loot pool completely revitalized in Season 21 and all of the weapons are now craftable. Last Wish was also the featured raid of the week this first week of the season, meaning farming groups are out in full force. And because you can get any weapon from Kalli, the first boss, this has made farming these weapons incredibly fast, with one of the teams that I farmed with averaging over 30 kills an hour, if not more than that. Last Wish will only be the featured raid until May 30th, where it will rotate out and come back in a few weeks. Twitter nerds will fight about the best farming strat for Kalli, but I figure most groups will run an anarchy strat, where you run up to Kalli, start the fight, and in between her shield going down and her teleporting, you tag her with 2 anarchy shots. This will cause her to not move after she teleports, and then you can just go to town. I've done 5 Celestial Nighthawk golden guns with tractor, I've done rocket spam, or whatever other damage strategies are out there. They're all fine, although I did like 5 Celestial Nighthawk the most. Then, as Kalli dies, the party lead should reset the instance by just re-flying back into Last Wish. No character swap is needed. Rinse repeat until your eyes start to bleed. All that being said, let's take a look at the god roll weapons of Last Wish in case you happen to come across one during farming or some random runs that you might be doing. We're going to start with the Supremacy 140 RPM kinetic sniper. While this does have some PvP viability with a role like Snapshot and Opening or Elemental Capacitor, in PvE world, things get pretty interesting. The role that I am quite interested in is Rewind rounds and 4th times the charm. With a setup like this, you are able to fire over 60 shots in a row, provided you don't miss any crits. Now I realize we're in like Aisha's Embrace, triple tap, 4th times the charm, meme territory here, but things are a little bit different on a sniper versus a scout rifle. Bait and switch is also available on this, maybe has some potential, although I haven't exactly done the math yet. Kinetic Tremors seems like a fun choice as well with some potential, but this is not a perk I've really investigated for myself just yet, looking to see what's up with it very soon, although Enhanced Kinetic Tremors is apparently only 2 shots to proc on this, so maybe there's something there. This is probably a gun that I'd get the pattern for and then craft down the road if an established meta comes along to support it. Chattering Bone is a 450 RPM pulse that has so many good options on it that I don't even know where to start. This is one of very few weapons in the game that can get the legendary kill clip and rampage roll. No one really used it that much back then, but that was 5 years ago. Things are different now. You can just chuck in a reload speed mod in your gloves and you're chilling. First column has rangefinder, potentially for PvP, keep away, rapid hit, kill clip. Second column has Head Seeker for PvP, Rampage, and Kinetic Tremors. It's really hard to go wrong here. It's really hard to go wrong. I'm most excited about some Rapid Hit and Kinetic Tremors action on this. Gonna bust out the old Chromatic Fire pretty soon and see how we do. Although, keep in mind, with Kinetic Tremors, that most junk enemies in low-end content will probably die to your bullets before you're able to proc Tremors. You're definitely going to want Arrowhead Break and a range perk to top this thing off. Transfiguration, a 150 RPM scout, has what feels like almost the exact same perk potential as Chattering Bone, and thus it is also very difficult to go wrong here. Although 150 RPM scouts aren't exactly making a ton of noise at the moment. But also, in most content, like, who really cares anyway? You know, most things are good. First column, Demolitionist, Rapid Hit, Keep Away, Rampage, Rewind rounds, 5 perks that are all very high quality. Second column, Kinetic Tremors, Kill Clip, Adrenaline Junkie. So many good perks. Grab 2 damage perks if you want. Grab a reload speed and a damage perk. Again, really hard to go wrong here. Moving to energy weapons, let's talk about age-old Bond, a Void Auto Rifle, which is basically a unicorn nowadays, 360 RPM. In the first column, I'm not wilding out too hard, mainly looking at Repulsor Brace for those interested in Void setups, But outside of that, I'm maybe feeling Stats for All or Dragonfly. I'm personally not the biggest fan of 4th times the charm on primary weapons, but to each their own if you enjoy it or you can make it work for you. In the second column, destabilizing rounds is again there for you Void enthusiasts out there. Volatile is a bit rare when we don't have Volatile Flow in the Season Artifact, and even though I'm not wild about this perk either, it's not like it's terrible. You also have Kill Clip as a very reliable damage source along with Golden Tricorn, although Void is not as ability spammy as other subclasses on average anyway. I'm not saying you can't build for ability spam on Void. Collective Action is build dependent. I was loving it on Arc, but Arc can make a million Ionic Traces, like, very easily. Completely depends on your ability to make the collectibles needed to activate this buff. And again, I'm going for Arrowhead and Accurized. Techeun Force Arc Fusion Rifle, 660 charge speed. So, this new perk, Controlled Burst, this perk is, it's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. It is bonus damage for simply shooting a target accurately. 20% more damage. For comparison, Reservoir Burst is 25% for one shot. But honestly, you know, what else are you really going to use here? Golden Tricorn? Well, okay. I mean, this is an Arc weapon, and Arc is pretty good at ability kills, so bad example, maybe, but, you know, still. There are even perks that complement Controlled Burst really, really well in the first slot, too. You got Rewind and Reconstruction. You could even go Kill Clip because it stacks, and you can get 4, maybe 5 shots off in that Kill Clip window. That's the kind of setup to go for, as far as I'm concerned. You could go Arrowhead and Accurized again here, but I might go for an extra shot in the mag. Nation of Beasts. The OG hand cannon. God Arc, 140 RPM. What do we have? We have Volt Shot. And, okay. Dragonfly in the first column, I guess, kind of brings it back to its old school days, Outlaw Dragonfly, but I'm not the craziest Dragonfly player. Outside of that, I mean, Keep Away, Perpetual Motion, not a ton of outstanding options in the first slot, I'm not going to lie. Second column has some heat, Volt Shot, Explosive Payload, Kill Clip, I guess. Not as much heat here as I was anticipating, though. This is kind of low on my list right now, especially considering SMGs are still just absolute beasts in PvE still, and have been for a long time. PvP-wise, I suppose Opening Shot or Perpetual Motion and, like, well, also Explosive Payload or Kill Clip are going to work. Again, I'm hunting for range-based minor perks. The last of the energy weapons, Tyranny of Heaven, Solar Lightweight Bow. I have said my piece on bows regarding PvE. I don't really think draw time or impact matter that much for the average player in the average piece of content, and also that if you're going to use a bow in PvE, you should probably just use an exotic one. That being said, Incandescent seems to be the most popular choice here, and while it's not exactly my favorite choice based on where I'd be using a bow, there are plenty of people using bows in lower tier content, and if you're doing that, then okay. Dragonfly, Explosive Head, Archer's Tempo, and Successful Warm-Up, all in that first column. I'm still an Archer's Tempo guy, but you definitely have your options to pick from there. In the second column, it seems like it's Incandescent or bust for a lot of people, and I think I have to be on board. Golden Tricorn I don't think gets as much value here because of the limitations of the bow itself. You can only fire so many shots, but it's not a terrible choice. Same with Collective Action, as long as you're able to proc the thing in the first place. Go for Agile Bowstring and Carbon or Combat Arrow Shaft. Finally, Apex Predator Solar Rocket Launcher. Notorious for being just absolutely terrible for years and years. This rocket has come back to say, hey, I'm here, you idiots. Look at my perks. Reconstruction, Bait and Switch, Reconstruction Explosive Light, Demolitionist, Tracking. You are loaded up here now. Surrounded is there for the few times that that perk can work. Demolitionist is probably going to fall a bit out of favor as Starfire Protocol got pretty destroyed for single target damage builds, and demo rockets were a big part of that. But it's still an okay perk. Reconstruction, however, is not exactly the speediest reload perk. Sure, you're going to start a phase with more than one rocket in the chamber, but if your damage phase is all rockets, you're still going to need to manually reload that thing. If you're doing Izanagi swapping, then it's just kind of a glorified auto-loading holster. But hey, you know, end of the day, Hezen Vengeance finally has some competition. Apex Predator, potentially better, arguably better than Hezen, depending on the situation. I think time will tell if this thing gets attention in the long term. Oh, but also, I know people are going to bring this up, Slideways is on this thing, which means you can slide to reload, shoot, slide, etc. This was a thing back on Ignition Code back in Season 14, Special Ammo Grenade Launcher, and, you know, I'm not too sure how much it really caught on overall. Now, rockets are different, I'll give you that, but there is a 3-second cooldown to the reload, so I'm not sure how much this will be popular for damage phases, but it is very convenient outside of that. In terms of priority pattern acquisition and crafting, I'm not actually too sure. If you're a big raider doing lots of endgame stuff, then Apex Predator is probably something you want prepped and ready. Nation of Beasts, I think, is going to be on the low end for me in terms of crafting. Supremacy is kind of meme territory with how many shots it can do, but you never know, something could come along, and now shooting 60 shots in a row is the meta. Techeun Force also seems like it has a good amount of potential for sustained damage. Maybe if you're the tractor cannon person in your team, you could throw that on. And then the primaries are just, I think, personal preference. That's all from me. As usual, hit the comments if you have further suggestions for your peers. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.